Apocalypse Now, one of my favourite war movies of all time. Absolutely fantastic movie, fantastic cinematography, amazing characters, amazing action. But did you know there's a lot more to this movie than first meets the eye? Apocalypse Now was actually based on a book which was written over 100 years ago called The Heart of Darkness. And The Heart of Darkness was about an ivory trader, a European ivory trader that was left alone down the Congo River in Africa to collect ivory that the local tribes people used to get for him and bring to his ivory station. But he had to wait alone in the jungle, deep, dark Congo, with tribes people, black magic, spirits of the forest, completely away from all Western sensibilities. And he had to wait there for 2 years alone. And this relates to Kurtz in Apocalypse Now. A man that at one time lived in the Western world where everything was fine, but slowly descended into madness in the jungle, surrounded by tribes people that worshipped him like a god. He became brutal. He used to make necklaces of the ears of people that he'd slain. He used to dismember people, and he enjoyed it. But he was sent there by the Western government just to kill the Viet Cong, and that was the way that it was during the Vietnam War. It was body count. Kill as many as you could. And in the Western society, with police forces, with rules, with government, with politicians, it's a world away from what it is in the heart of darkness down the Congo. Just like it's a world away from war in Vietnam, where you're alone for years, killing and brutalizing. Now in the Western society, we're brought up completely different to other parts of the world. If you're born in Canada or America or the UK, you think in one way, but if you was born into a desert somewhere or a jungle with pygmies, your whole perception would be something else. So what I learned from watching the movie and reading the book was that people are a product of their environment, and under the right set of circumstances you can be transformed into something that you never ever thought you could. Your whole world will turn upside down, for good or for bad. Now when I first watched the movie and read the book, I didn't really think about it too much, but as I got older, more experience in life, I suddenly realized that we are all just a set of circumstances and a set of decisions and a set of life choices away from becoming Kurtz. And that might sound crazy, but don't judge it until you've been in a war for years on your own, or you've been in a jungle isolated with black magic and spirits of the forest, and you've been carried around on a throne in the forest, worshipped as a god, like both of the characters did in the movie and the book. So, from European ivory traders deep down in the heart of darkness, with the slaves and the local tribes people worshipping them as gods, they descended into a madness that we can't even comprehend in the Western world. Now, as a kid, I always thought I could never, ever turn that crazy, None of us could imagine it, right? We could never be a Kurtz in the movie who wears a necklace of ears. You'd like to think that, right? But just like the homeless man on the street that you walk past every day, and you look into his eyes, and maybe, human nature, maybe you thought, that guy should just get a job. You could get a job if you wanted to. Like, why are you on the street? But you don't know his history, and you don't know the circumstances that brought him there. And you could be that homeless guy on the street. Just through the right set of circumstances, the right decisions that have happened in your life. If you made bad decisions and bad things happened to you, you could be that homeless guy. You could be Kurtz. You could be down the Congo worshipping spirits. You could be wearing a necklace full of ears. You don't think so? Maybe not. Maybe you're different to other human beings. But as a child, I always thought the brutality of what they must have seen in Vietnam, and it's completely different to what we've experienced in a normal day-to-day life. And the animal instinct would take over, the survival would take over. And just like the old story of the woman whose child is trapped in the car, and she suddenly finds superhuman strength to be able to turn the car over and get her child out. Maybe this happens in extreme situations of war and isolation, when you're removed from the Western society. So, what I'd like to get across to you is maybe watch Apocalypse Now again, and maybe think to yourself, what would you do if you was in that situation? Because Kurtz was a normal family man, started off, loving his children and loving God and, eating his cake and his tea, sitting at a dinner table, to sitting in a cave, thinking he was God with a necklace full of ears of the people he'd slain. So next time we think to judge someone, maybe really think how you would have reacted in them situations, and how you would have to adapted your thinking to survive in them situations. Because I know this might sound strange, but I've spent time alone in jungles for months, and you do start to think different. Things change, like your perception of sound and movement and your hearing becomes so much more acute, because you're not in the West anymore. You're not sitting at your computer. You're not driving your car. You're in an environment that's dangerous, and your animal instincts take over. So next time we see that homeless man on the street, maybe look into his eyes and realize that could be you. Because it could. Just like you could be Kurtz down the darkest, deepest regions of the Congo, thinking you're gods. And at the end of Apocalypse Now, and the end of In the Heart of Darkness, the book, they both went absolutely insane. In the Heart of Darkness, he ended up killing one of his friends, thinking he was God. In the movie, the government sent someone to kill Kurtz because he'd lost control. And the final words in both the book and the movie, they both repeated the horror. The horror. And then the movie ended. So next time you see someone in an unfortunate situation, could that be you?
It's impossible through words to describe what is necessary to those who do not know what horror means. Horror. Horror has a face, and you must make a friend of horror. Horror and moral terror are your friends. If they are not, then they are enemies to be feared. They are truly enemies. You have to have men who are moral at the same time who are able to utilize their primordial instincts to kill without feeling, without passion, without judgment. Because it's judgment that defeats us.